Hello and welcome to a brand new Timberborn series here on the channel. This is series 11. We're going to try something a little bit different this time. Of course, we always like to play with the Iron Teeth, but we've been neglecting these guys for, I don't know, the past 5, 6, 7 months. So we're going to go with Folktails. We're going to try out the 1,000 Islands map. It's a nice big map, and it seems like it's going to be a fun challenge. And we're just going to stick with normal, because we've done hard mode to death. We've done harder mode to death, and we want to do something a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, less focused on just trying to do insane stuff. So we're just going to hit this and get the map loaded, and we'll see you on the other side. All right, and here we are once again. Got to name our settlement. You know, I already know what we're going to call it. Beaverburg 11. That is XI in Roman numerals. But here we are, starting complement of beavers. As always, it's 12 beavers. So what we're going to do real quick, before we do anything else, take a look at the map. Like it said in the name, 1,000 islands. Well, there's not literally 1,000, but there's a good number of islands, varying types of terrain, and different things that they've got going on. We have some scrap metal over here, and then a lot of it over here with one of these underground ruins. There's another one over here, kind of in this little alcove area. And then I believe there should be another one somewhere over here. I could be wrong. No, I guess it's just those two. Or no, there's one right here. I'm sorry. 3. But I think this would be a really fun map for us to try, because we haven't really messed with anything like this, where there's this one giant, and I do mean giant. This is, I don't know, probably at least 20 water sources coming out of one spot, and then there's a bunch of different places on the map the water can escape, which is also part of the reason I'm not doing hard mode on this one. But I digress. It's going to be a really fun challenge for us to try and manipulate the water in ways that aren't going to be impossible for us to deal with. But there are a couple of choke points I think we can take advantage of to trap at least a little bit of water. And of course, some of these areas are 2 blocks deep instead of 1, which is going to create some naturally occurring lakes when the drought does eventually come. Now, one thing we need to mention right off the bat, this is a modded playthrough, so I've got a lot of mods here. Huge list, way too many for me to read off now, so I will put that up on the screen and you can check those out. They'll be listed in the description as well. But for all intents and purposes, it's more or less every mod that will work with this version of the game, with the exception of a few that would be things I didn't think we'd want to mess with. But one really exciting one is right up here. It says time lapse. That is going to take a screenshot from a predetermined position of the map every, I believe I have it set for 12 hours, or I was messing with it set for 12 hours to give us a nice little time lapse. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do with that, but I do want to have that for the record of the full playthrough, and it will at the very least be in the last episode, or maybe I'll end up doing some other video or stick it up on YouTube Shorts and see if that brings anybody in here. But I digress. We have to set that first off. I have not configured it for this playthrough. This is brand new. I did do some testing, and I confirmed that it works with the way that I want to use it, and all that. So what we're going to do, we're going to go into dev mode, put the camera in free mode, and turn off the fog. I don't know if that's actually going to matter, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a nice vantage point where it's more or less pretty much dead on from about this angle, and just drag it so it's just about at the bottom, so it covers most of the map. Might tilt it a little bit more so we can see just a touch more of this. All right, so we're going to stick it right there, and I'm going to hit set camera, go to settings, enable the camera, importantly. It'll let you do from 1 hour all the way up to every 2 days. I'm going to stick it at 12 hours. I did test it before at 1 hour, and it was very annoying having the little lag stutters every time it took a screenshot every single hour, so I don't want to deal with that. But 12 hours is going to give us a really nice frequent refresh on those, and I think we're going to enjoy that. I think you guys will appreciate having the record from one specific viewpoint, and I can use these for thumbnails if I want to, which is always fun. So we'll go ahead and get that done, ready to go. I believe that is all set. We'll hit set again just in case, and then we'll zoom back in, take the camera out of free mode, turn fog back on, and get out of dev mode. So we're all good to go. Unfortunately, this does show up constantly. I can't get rid of it unless the mod is disabled. So we're just going to have to get away from worrying about that. I wish I could put this global view thing up at the very top. It is kind of distracting to have it there. But I do like the idea of having this, as well as the height shower, which is wherever the cursor is pointing. It'll tell me the height of that block, which could be useful in planning a bunch of bridges, which we're definitely going to have to do moving around this map. I'm very excited to see what we're able to come up with. I think it's a good idea to have a little bit more of an aesthetic-focused playthrough and taking advantage of all the decoration mods and all of the quality of life and other improvement things that we're going to be messing with. Of course, Choo Choo is back, fully updated for Update 4, with the notable addition of passenger trains, which is going to be super fun to mess with. We have a lot of decorative blocks. I got a new decorative block mod for that. And of course, I know you guys are going to ask about it. We do have the frog statue somewhere. There it is. It's under well-being. We have the frog statue back. And we have ladders. Yes, we have ladders up here in the stairs menu. And we do have all of the paths once again, including the frog path. And all of our steel bridges. We have tunnels. We've got the arches from, I think it's extended architecture. And then we have side platforms, reinforced platforms. And then all this other fun stuff. Lots of good stuff to work with to make this a more interesting and visually appealing playthrough that isn't just so much focused on brute forcing the mechanics of the game. So that being said, finally after like, I don't know, 8 minutes, let's actually get started. Keep this on single time speed for right now. So we have this main island. We're not going to be able to leave it for a little while, but that's okay because there's plenty of stuff available for us here. And we're not going to get too stressed out because it is, after all, normal mode. We've been playing on hard for ever and ever and ever. So I think it's going to be nice to not have to worry about stuff for at least a little while. So I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to put in a lumberjack flag right here in the center because we do have this built-in slope right here before we research any of our stairs or ladders or anything. So we put this guy right here. He'll be able to access just about every tree on this island, save for a couple on the edges of this right here. And then, of course, this, well, it's not technically the top tier because this would be the top tier, but not going to get access to that quite yet. So we got our lumberjack flag. We're going to let him get to work. And, of course, next thing, putting in at least one water pump. I think we're going to go with 2 just because we're already here. Let's just go ahead and stick that right there. And it is important to remember that since we are on Folktails again, the water pumps are only too deep. Excuse me. We don't have the 6 deep water pumps anymore, so we're gonna have to be a little bit more careful about where we place them. But this isn't a very tall map. Well, at least not right here. So it's really not gonna be something that is gonna be a problem. Now, also, I did not mark the trees for cutting. So let's go ahead and just do that real quick. Glad I caught that before it was, I don't know, 3 weeks into the game and nobody was cutting anything. And I was getting frustrated about nobody cutting anything down. So that'll be fine. We'll stick our gather flag right here next to all these berries. And then once we have all of these water pumps up and running, and the gatherer flag, of course, we can start farming, which we can actually go ahead and load those things down while they are in the middle of taking care of everything else. We do have 8 adults to work with. This will be 1 job, 2 jobs, 3 jobs, 4. Then we have 2 right here. So we have 2 more, unless we start messing with employment numbers, 2 more jobs that we can have beavers do. And I think the most important one right now is going to be a farmhouse. Now, one thing we haven't talked about since Update 4 is that the farmhouse has gotten a redesign. A number of the buildings for both factions got redesigns. Folktales stuff hasn't really changed that much, but they do have some new aesthetic stuff. I think that is a very nice design, kind of reminiscent of American-style barns, which is fun for a farmhouse. But if we go ahead and place this down, I think we'll just stick right there. You'll notice it has 3 slots for workers. So the footprint of the building didn't change. This is still the same size as the original farmhouse in Update 3, but they did go ahead and add that 3rd worker slot in exchange for keeping the building the same size. The Iron Teeth, of course, having the 2x2 farmhouse that only has 2 workers. But because the Folktales are supposed to be the faction that is more geared around farming and easy country living lifestyle. They figured, hey, you know what? They'd probably be pretty good at farming. Let's make their farmhouse efficient. So that'll be the next thing that ends up getting built. And then we'll also need storage for all that sort of stuff. It is normal mode, so it's very likely that our first drought won't come until about day 13, day 14, depending on how the RNG likes to treat us. So this guy has, in fact, started cutting trees, but we're in the process of building, so we're not going to have any of those logs stored anytime soon. Now let's just make sure, yes, this can, in fact, reach the entire area right here on this lower level and a little bit of the upper level. I think the range of these might have been extended slightly. I'm not sure, but I don't remember them covering this much, so at the very least, that's a nice surprise, even if nothing's changed. So what we'll do is we'll be planting a bunch of food to start out with. Of course, we don't have access to the processing for wheat or potatoes yet, so it's going to be carrots and sunflowers to start, because those don't require any extra steps. And then when we get into aquatic farming, of course, that'll be a little bit later. So this is the original list of crops that the game has had for quite some time. The Iron Teeth got that complete food rework in Update 4, but the Folktails didn't really get anything changed. They just got carrots, sunflowers, potatoes, and wheat. And of course, cattail and spatterdog for the aquatic farmhouse. So it's going to be kind of a return to form with us having all of our different food processing buildings. We do have the aquatic farmhouse to unlock. Grill is already unlocked. When we start growing potatoes, probably not this first cycle, because we are going to completely run out of water, and I don't want those to die. So probably at least cycle 2, maybe cycle 3, depending on how we have our stuff set up for water retention. That's going to be a thing we're going to have to deal with. But it's going to be back to the grist mill or the Dutch windmill, because that mod is back. That is one I really, really liked, because you don't have to be reliant on a power source. And then, of course, bakeries, packing plant mod is back. That's something we really enjoyed using in previous playthroughs. And, of course, beehives, which I don't know if we'll get into. We'll see. Depends on how we're feeling. But the packing plant, a.k.a. beaver lunchables, beaver bentos, whatever you want to call them, it's going to be excellent to get those back. Very, very excited to get into that eventually. But why don't we go ahead, turn on turbo mode, get these guys going a little bit faster now that we're pretty much off the ground, ready to go. Just got to get them pumping some water so we don't have any dehydrated beavers, and we don't have any starving beavers. We also do have a mod that will show us in this little status area right here if those beavers are dehydrated or starving, as well as a couple of other quality of life things. It's going to be very, very fun to get back with these guys and start working toward a little bit more of a, I guess you could say, appealing design language, instead of just, hey, let's put as much stuff as we possibly can in any place that will take it. That's not always fun. I mean, it is fun, but it doesn't always look good. So let's go ahead, just for right now, put in some of these small tanks. Of course, they're going to build the farmhouse first, but we do have to have somewhere to store water for 12 beavers while everything is still getting set up. I'm not really worried about housing quite yet, but we are going to want to have that built at least before the end of the first cycle, so we can start getting some more beavers. That's right, we don't have to worry about berries anymore, but they can just completely go away, except for a small stash, so we can have access to all of our well-being stuff. But we don't need them to breed beavers anymore. The beavers will breed themselves as soon as we put in all of our lodges and stuff. So they've still got a little bit of a ways to go on this farmhouse. So while they're doing that, let's just go ahead real quick and put in a nice big plot of carrots here. I think we'll go probably all of this, and then sunflowers. I'm going to leave a little bit of space on the outside here and just have, oh, screenshot thing canceled out my click and drag. But if we have a pretty good amount of carrots and a good amount of sunflowers, that's going to give our beavers plenty of stuff to eat just as soon as they can, you know, actually plant the stuff. And that leaves us a little bit of space around the outside to get to for pathing purposes or for putting in some more water pumps. And eventually we are, of course, going to build dams across here and capture water before it leaves the map, eventually with a goal of plugging all of these exits, but that is going to take quite some time, and I do mean quite some time. It's going to be, oh, I don't know, 10, 15 episodes down the road probably, because this map is huge. It's a 256 by 256. And there's a lot of these. It's going to take us a very long time to get exactly where we need to go, but we do have the farmhouse working, and they are planting everything. Should be off to a very, very nice start. And in so doing, we're going to want to make sure that everybody has the ability to eat and drink, which means we probably need to put in another lumberjack. And I think we can go ahead and demolish that berry bush. We're not going to need it. And we can have a path going up here to harvest these trees. And we're going to have a very successful first cycle here. It's nice to not have to worry and stress out about all the early game stuffs quite so much. Very, very different thing from the last, I don't know, 6 playthroughs we've done. We can take the time, we can relax, we can enjoy the process of building, and along the way, eventually make some really aesthetically pleasing stuff, which I know a lot of you have been clamoring for quite some time. Of course, early on, we're probably not going to be able to get into too much of that because we do have to actually, you know, get the basics all ready to go. But I think this map is going to afford us a lot of opportunities for some really cool looking bridges and islands with different specializations, like farming or different types of production, recreation, all sorts of good stuff. And we can link it all with trains, which I am very, very excited for. So now we have 11 adults, should have all of these occupied, which I think we do. And now we're going to have to get some processing going so we can make some planks, so we can make a forester. But before we do that, we have to actually research, of course. So we're going to put in a couple of inventors. And I think this area up here that doesn't have any water is going to be a great place for us to start with that. Because, well, there's nothing else we can do with this space except build on it, so why not go ahead and do that? And of course, when we have our forester here, we'll be able to make a lot better use of all this space. In fact, you know what? Tell you what, I'm going to stop construction on that. I'm going to move him over next door to his brother here, because what we have the opportunity to do is put a forester here, so it has a little bit more height, which will give it a little bit further range, because remember, it is line of sight for those guys. And since we have one of my favorite mods back, the mirror buildings mod, it doesn't matter what side the door is on, because we can just move it to the other one. I am so glad to have that one back. But at any rate, we'll get these guys researching some science, and when we get to 60, we can unlock the forester. Of course, before that, we do have to have some power, which, remember, Folktails only have the one water wheel, which is just kind of a medium size, takes 50 logs, and then they have the power wheel, which is the one that you know, run around in, and then much later get into windmills, gravity batteries, and also flywheels, which are a new power storage device that comes from one of the mods that I had installed. And this is going to be very interesting to see how these all work. But that's going to come quite a bit later. So let's go ahead and put in a power wheel. I think we'll do that. Leave space for a forester. I think we'll stick this guy maybe right here. And then put a lumber mill right next door. Put a path in here. By the time they're done building that, we should have enough science to unlock the forester. Hopefully. Another thing this allows us to do is I can now make this a lower priority, the lumberjack flag, the second one, so that when this is built, well, we don't need this guy right now because this building isn't constructed yet, but that'll allow us to easily manage our workflow and everything. And we're about to need some more storage for food, which is fantastic news. We do have small warehouse and medium warehouse both unlocked, so I think for right now, we're just going to have this medium warehouse for carrots. Get that built and have them work on that. Get those stored up. And we should be in a pretty good place moving forward. It is so much nicer not having to worry about all this stuff and just enjoy playing the game. Not that I don't enjoy the other ones. They're a whole lot of fun. But it is a bit different when everything is very, very dependent on getting stuff done as fast as possible. This is nice. So let's unpause the power wheel, and then gonna make the farmhouse slightly lower priority so we can get both of these guys working. Start making some planks, and just like I said, we have enough science for the forester, which we'll go ahead and unlock now. And I'm gonna stick this guy right here, and you'll notice if I flip the door, we get a little bit extra space right there. And if I don't flip the door, then we get a little bit of extra space up on the top that we can't even get to in the first place. But if we flip the door, we do get these 2 tiles over here, so we're going to stick that right there. Nice line of sight for most of the island. And then it looks like our friend right here has some broken teeth, so we'll go ahead and address that. And just pop in, well, somewhere, wherever it's going to let me put one. I guess we'll just go right here. Put in the tooth grindstone, let them grind away, get to work. And next we can focus on putting in some housing. Now we have regular lodges and we have mirrored lodges, which doesn't matter because we can just flip them anyway. But we'll go ahead and put in a couple of these guys. And eventually, of course, we're going to want to put in the double lodges that let you go down into the water. But that is not right now. We've got a ways to go to get there. So what we're going to want to do is find a way to inset these into the hillside just a little bit and find some places that are going to work a little bit better for that purpose. And I think I'm going to want to put one right here and put a mirrored one right next door, so we have that nice little continuation of everything. Then we can just kind of path this in this way. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to have this come in like so. And once that's all taken care of, let's actually fix that. I forgot I hadn't had that done. Now we can come over to the side here, and we can do another little matched pair of doorways. And that should give us 12 capacity, which is the amount of beavers that we have right now. And we're going to want to build some more, but that will at least get us started. We're very, very close to having this forester done as well. That is set to store carrots, which is good news. Sunflower seeds, I think we should be okay just storing them in the farmhouse for right now. Again, when the drought comes in just a little bit, all of this water is going to be gone, and this entire island is probably not going to have any green on it whatsoever. So now this guy's built forester, and we're going to need to start replanting trees. Now you'll notice, if you've only been watching my Iron Teeth videos, we haven't had maple trees, we haven't had chestnuts in a very long time, and now we have them back, but we don't have mangroves. Mangroves are only an Iron Teeth thing, so the forester can do dandelions, blueberries, birches, pines, chestnut trees, maple trees, and oaks. So we don't have coffee, we don't have the mangroves, but we have access to the oaks. We have access to maples, which now, of course, have a slightly lower log yield, down to 6 instead of 8, because now the oaks provide 8. But the maples, of course, still give us the syrup. And the chestnuts, of course, still give us, well, chestnuts. And I believe they now only offer 4 logs instead of 6. And the pine tree is still at 2, and it still gives us the pine resin. Birch tree still gives us 1 log. So not that much has changed. For right now, I think we're going to stick with some pines right here behind everything. And then we're going to find a couple of other places, ideally near where we have our gatherer flag set up, to plant some other trees like chestnuts that'll allow us to actually harvest something. And there's not, okay, some of these are pretty close to blueberries, not that we need to be worrying about actually accumulating any of those. But I do think it's nice to not waste if you can help it. So to that end, I'll go ahead and place in another medium warehouse for the berries, just so we have them. We can always change it to something else later, so don't worry about that. And then, of course, we'll have some nice accessible pathing done right there. I believe we have a few more coming in very quickly here. And we're going to start demolishing these bushes immediately after they're harvested to make room for some other trees. But we can go ahead and plant some chestnut trees in the available space until the screenshot thing betrays me again. But that'll be an easy way to get everything put back in where it's supposed to go. So like I was saying, as soon as they're back to work for the day, we'll get collecting these bushes and we'll have that space reclaimed once again. There's quite a bit of stuff they got to get to first, though. Now, I know our guy isn't just sitting here. Oh, it's because he's got nothing to do with the berries. So let's prioritize construction of this warehouse real quick. Get them going on that. And we have a couple things we could probably unlock now that we have our inventor set up, but right now I don't think we need it. We just have the 12 beavers with, I believe, currently enough food and water right now to last the first drought, which is probably only going to be 3 days, maybe 4. I think that's the limit in normal mode. Yeah, so once this is all built, should go harvest all of those berries, and we'll be all good to go. Very, very easy first, at least couple of cycles here before everything starts to go a little bit crazy, but normal doesn't usually get any longer than about 9 days drought anyway, so it's not going to be too bad. But because of the geography of the map, it is still going to be a little bit of a challenge, but it's nothing we can't handle. We'll be a-okay here on day 15. Just got our drought warning, so it'll be, I believe, the start of day 18 will be our drought. Should be about 3 or 4 days long, and then we'll be into cycle 2. Very exciting stuff. And of course their well-being is increasing now that they can actually sleep somewhere. So we should hear this go off a lot in the next couple of minutes. And now that we have all this extra stuff, don't forget the maximum is not going to be 60 anymore. It should be somewhere in the 70s. But we'll get to that when we get there. We will see what happens. So we'll just click these guys out of the way. We'll leave a few just so we can have some more of those berries come up. But we don't want to have too many. So we'll just keep on dragging our chestnut trees over here and take advantage of everything being, for the time being, nice, easygoing stuff. Now, one problem we do have is that the farmhouse doesn't have anybody in it, and that's because we're down to 11 beavers because we haven't finished all of our lodges yet. So, good news is, the lumber mill has completely filled itself up. We don't need any planks right now, so I'm going to deprioritize that, as well as the power wheel, and those guys can go back to work in the farm and start harvesting carrots. I am going to turn it to harvest only because, or prioritize harvesting, because this is going to dry out and the carrots that are being planted now are also going to die as a result of that. So we want to make sure we get all of them harvested, as well as the sunflowers, but I'm not as concerned about those. Alright, so stuff is looking good. Keep on planting our chestnut trees. Now we can demolish these guys. Looking good there. We'll leave probably just these guys right here. Yeah, now we're up to 5. Very fun. So I'll just leave these berries right here for harvesting, and we will get rid of the rest as necessary. I'm gonna have to used to that screenshot thing knocking me out of drag selects, but it is what it is. It's a-okay. We got plenty of other stuff to occupy our time, rather than worry about that so much. Alright, and now we're on the last about half a day before the drought starts. So we're probably going to want to get another beaver in here. We'll prioritize that. Deprioritize working in the district center. And they should be harvesting. Well, hopefully. We will still have a brief period of time before all the water goes away, and then, of course, these carrots should last about another day and a half, 2 days. But you'll see, it immediately stops coming out of our giant, I guess, spawn point up there, and then it just rips across the map as all the water drains into the surrounding pools and then off the sides. The whole thing is just going to dry up like that. But no cause for concern there. These guys will last another 2 days or so. Sunflowers last a little longer. We can get everything harvested and not worry about replanting anything until the water is back. Wow, is that really a 2-day drought? Okay, that was easy. Well, it works for me. Gives us a little bit more of a chance to get some stuff taken care of, and we won't have to worry about it. Now they have harvested those, so we're going to go ahead and get rid of all of these guys. And I don't think we can plant any more trees. Maybe we can. I don't know. Well, we'll get them marked correctly at least. And then everything should be a-okay. It looks like we already have a new kit to replace the ones that died now that we're up to 12 capacity in the lodge. It is going to be time for us to start building additional ones though. And now that we have about 300 science, we can also unlock ladders, except we don't really need them right now. They'll come in handy a little bit later. But for right now, we're not going to worry about it. But I can tell you, as soon as we get ladders, I'm putting farmhouses on top of these little warehouses here. And we're going to use ladders to get down and have a little bit more of an efficient space. Because until we have bridges or platforms, this is the only part of the map we can get to. And we're going to have to be very careful with how we use all of our resources. Fortunately, though, we're not playing on hard. We're not doing anything that's going to be too crazy. And we can generally take our time and not stress out too much about stuff. So since the drought is now over, which is hilarious how short that is in comparison to the other stuff that we've been doing this whole time, I think our first plan of attack to try and retain some water to keep our farms good to go is going to be to try and make a little tiny reservoir, maybe right about this area. We have this area right here, could easily be bridged by some dam pieces. The same thing down here. And then it wouldn't be too much to just put in some stuff here, although I think we're going to do levees and not dams, since we have the science for it. So we'll go ahead and unlock those guys. And then get to work building in some other stuff. But hey, here comes the water. All looking good. Let's put in a staircase, which we can also unlock. I'm not used to having to unlock staircases. Oh boy. We'll put that guy right there. And then I think this one right here we'll just do regular dam pieces. And then everything over here, I believe we'll do 3 here, and then 2 in the middle that are dams, just so we can have water move back and forth. And that ought to keep them busy for a while. We still have plenty of trees to harvest, but what we don't have is storage for logs, which we'll go ahead and add now. The Folktails do not have the stackable piles. They're exposed open air design here, which is a little less than ideal for efficiency's sake. But remember, the Folktails are not about efficiency. I believe they're what the description in the menu is cozy homes and sturdy wood or something. I don't know. But anyway, they're a little more oriented toward just having a good time. So that's what we'll do. Find ourselves a place to put some of this. I kind of don't want to put it on top of the lodges because we're probably going to end up stacking these at some point. So what we'll do instead is go a little bit closer to the worksite. Maybe right about here. place in a path as appropriate and get these guys all connected up so there's some place to store all those trees. And we're going to need to build some more lodges, of course. But we do want to make sure that we have storage for logs before we can actually store enough to really take care of anything. So I think they should be building this large pile first. Except there's nobody in the district center, which means got to prioritize those guys back in, flip them to planting, and then deprioritize the farmhouse because everything's planted, which means we should have them taken care of. And I believe, oh, that's right, we had them start building the dams first. So let's prioritize the piles, and let's actually low prioritize these guys, because we want to build a few more of these lodges first. We do have the science to unlock the double lodge, but I'm not going to do that right now, because I think it's going to be a little bit more prudent for us to spend our resources doing some other stuff. Now, I can put a lodge here, which is probably a smart idea. Then I can put another one right here. And then in doing that, it'll give us a couple of spots right here. We can put some other well-being stuff like, well, eventually medical beds and all that good stuff. And we can research decorations and everything. So we'll leave this open for right now, but we will put some stuff there. And then eventually probably make things look a little bit nicer. Move them around. But now we have plenty of space to get some more beavers going and get them to, well, you know, make more beavers. And our large pile is successfully identified to be holding logs, which means our friends here in the lumberjack flags will be able to cut some more trees down, and we'll be in good shape. Now our blueberries here can't get got yet because of the length of our pathing here. So we'll take care of that by putting these two paths here. Looks like that's all good to go, so we're going to plant... Oh, hold on. Good, that's still in reach. We're going to unplant those bushes and replace them with some chestnut trees. And there we go. Since this is also still in range, I'm going to make this all blueberries, and I'm going to unplant these guys. Let them do what they need to do. And then we're looking like we're in good shape. Off to a nice start. And we can start working on the rest of these dam pieces. I think these guys can both reach... they can reach a pretty good number of trees that are still up here. So that's looking good. Got more beavers growing up. We can start replacing some of our workforce again. And we still don't have any farmers. So let's see. Let's lower prioritize the inventors. Probably should have done that at the start, because we've got to get these guys back into the farmhouse. That stuff is looking quite nice now. And we're going to have an interesting time here in a second, because the water is not high enough to actually go through these dams yet. So we're going to be relying on everything coming in from this other side. Because remember, the water enters the map up here, and then it comes down and around like this. So what's happening here is this is all remnants from coming in this way. So it's actually going to be in our best interest to not have this closed off. I've just remembered. But instead, put in some sort of a... what do you call these things? Floodgates? We also have metal floodgates, which we'll get into a lot later. But I think we're going to want to go ahead and unlock this regular floodgate and do something here relating to that. So I'm actually going to gasp. Unbuild these, because what we really should be focusing on is a levee over here that's going to trap some more of our stuff in place. So I think what we'll do, make sure this is, yeah. Oh, that's not going to quite reach. I wanted to kind of support another row of these things here. So we're going to come back and put supports here, but I'm going to go ahead and just stick those guys all the way across like that for now. Don't worry, we'll take them out when we have a little bit better of a thing going on. But we want to make sure we can actually get water in here and then trap it, which is, of course, the goal. So we'll put in a floodgate here, set it to 0 height, and then fill the rest with regular levees, which should get a little easier in the coming days because we have almost a full complement of beavers. We have a couple of these beds left, but they'll fill those in very short order, as they always do. And we'll get everything all taken care of, good to go. Now, these guys right here, yeah, me too. They are hard at work gathering these pine trees. These should be pretty close. Yeah, should see these start to pop up very soon. Harvesting them, which will be very nice to have all of that wood. They'll come store it down here, and then our builders can take care of everything else. So we do have the floodgate ready to go, all set, and this will at least allow a little bit of water in here during the first drought, or not the first drought, the second drought here in cycle 2, while we work on other stuff. Now keep in mind, this will also still have water in it because it is 2 deep instead of 1. So we won't have to go super far. If we need water, we can just build a pump here or something. But a goal, not today, but next episode might be to start damming this up. We're going to have a lot more wood and get to some more islands before then. Which, conveniently, there's one right here that we can path across to. I'm not going to put dams here quite yet. But we can go ahead, unlock our platform. We do have the science for it. And we can just stick that right across there. Path across like so. I think we'll just do that and then see if I can get just about all of these trees in the lower level. Looks like it. Yeah, that'll work. We're not going to worry about this guy being populated for a while, and he won't be able to be populated for a while because of how much other stuff we got going on. But it will be nice to at least have that ready to go. Now, the real question is going to be, can we get all the rest of the stuff built? I'm not sure it's going to be able to happen in time for the next drought. We'll see. But I believe now that these trees are starting to come in, we'll be in good shape. And we can get everything off to a nice start. And if we successfully hold water, I'll plant potatoes. But I'm not doing that until we know for sure that stuff is not going to be completely terrible. Because it's going to be very, very easy for stuff to go wrong. And this probably won't be very deep at all when it's finished. Yeah, look how thin that is. So this is very much going to become a thing that is going to have to be augmented by dumps, at least for the beginning, until we have everything blocked off on the side. This is still kind of a deceptively hard map, from my understanding, just because of how the water always goes everywhere. But once we have good command over that, we should be in a pretty good spot. Okay, that's too far. Pop in a couple more pieces. That's good to go. Alright, day 11. We have not gotten a drought warning. That's a good sign for us. Which means these guys can keep on going. We still have empty beds, which means they haven't been getting busy lately, which means that we need to maybe give them a couple more options in terms of recreation or security, and also giving them a chance to grow up, all the little baby beavers. So let's take a look-see here. I think we'll go ahead and just put this guy right here. Actually, it looks like this got a redesign. I think it did. The Iron Teeth one, I believe, had a different seating arrangement for it. But that'll, of course, allow our young beavers to grow up a little bit faster and increase our well-being for everybody, which is always a good sign. Now, if we could just get some stuff, there's our drought warning. Just get the rest of these built. It's going to be interesting because of how everything is set up. I should have put staircase here, made a little bit of a shorter distance. But oh, we have 4 planks, so maybe that will actually work. Let's do that. I guess I will probably put that here. We'll do that just to connect everything up, like so. We can always expand and put more carrots here if we so desired. That should increase the efficiency of our builders to be able to have both of those routes at once. Assuming that this can get built, let's increase our working hours to 18 for our drought preparation. Remember, this is Folktails, not Iron Teeth. I'm not going to be making them work 24-hour days. That's against the spirit of everything Folktails stand for. Can be a little bit more relaxed. If you want the crazy hard stuff, then that's the weekend live streams. Just started a new one, actually, if you haven't seen that, of a diorama, the 50 by 50 map, I think is how big that is. And that is on the Iron Teeth faction, and we have all the mods there as well. So those ideally will be streaming every Saturday, depending on my schedule and other things. I'll of course communicate with you on that, but we'd love to have you on those. They're always a whole lot of fun, especially when things go poorly, and sometimes they definitely do. This one, though, should be substantially less stressful. Although it is unfortunately looking like we're not going to have all of these levees done. I am going to go ahead and get some more workers hired to be building the rest of this, because we just have the, I guess, the last day remaining to get all of these levees built. I don't think it's going to happen, which is unfortunate. But it's not the end of the world. We do have plenty of food stored up. We have plenty of water. And we don't yet have enough beavers to where it's going to be a problem if this goes dry. Remember, it's all about being relaxed, enjoying the process of playing the game, and everything is going to be fine. Now, we do still have about 12 hours of the workday left, so I think they're going to be close, but it's unfortunately not going to end up getting done, which is too bad. But they'll keep working on it, and then as soon as the water comes back at the beginning of cycle 3, everything will be all good to go. Should have started that a little earlier, but it is what it is. What can you do? Not really much more you could possibly do. So that does mean no potatoes, unfortunately. So we'll set these to harvest, and they can get to work in the morning, taking care of all the carrots and sunflower seeds. And now it's a 4-day drought. Okay, yeah, so the plants are definitely going to die anyway, so can't feel too bad about that. What that does allow us to do, though, I will go ahead and, nope, water's already gone, never mind. I was about to say, oh, I'll just raise the floodgate, maybe it'll, nope, it was already paper thin. But what we can do is we can come over here once they get into the platform building, which they should, without too much delay. Go ahead and pause these, because it's currently not wet over there. Get everything built, and then we can move over here, start taking these trees down, because we are pretty much out of wood right now. There's still some more that can be gathered, but we're definitely not looking like we need to be doing that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unmark these for cutting, and we're going to designate, let's just cut these right here. Oh, this one hasn't been marked. Let's designate these 3 rows, well, 2.5 rows of chestnut trees for cutting. The rest of them will be for harvesting chestnuts, because we do still want to use the wood. It is still good early mid-game wood. As these pine trees get cut, we'll replace them with other trees, of course, once it's not a complete barren wasteland over here. Yeah, so it's going to be about a day and a half late getting the rest of these levees built, but that's okay. We'll just make sure this is all set, ready to go. And we have our automatic floodgate controls back, which is awesome. I missed those very, very much. All right, let's take this back down to 16 working hours. I did forget at the beginning of the drought to reset that. That's all good now. And our little starving beaver here isn't really starving because he can just go get some carrots, have himself a snack, and be all good to go. Well, we should also be building our campfire, but we don't have the logs right now, it looks like. So they probably are going to finish the platform first. And yep, it looks like it's exactly that's what they're doing. And there we go. We have this lumberjack flag all set. Give this guy some trees to cut down. Mark this whole thing pretty much. And there you go. Looking decent, I guess. Yeah, it's unfortunate these trees will not grow, but that is what happens when you don't have any water left. And we are coming up to the end of this first episode in the series here. We will finish Cycle 2, and maybe the very, very beginning of Cycle 3. But yeah, this is a very strong start. Not that we were expecting this to be difficult. It is a normal mode after all. But it is good to get back to the original faction that we started playing the game with. A little bit more of a relaxed pace. And next episode, getting into, hopefully, blocking some of these areas off. At the very least, trying to get this entire corner more or less done. I think it's achievable within the first couple of episodes to have at least this section blocked off, because the water does spill in to this area from up here and through over here, so that should not be too difficult of a task. I think everything will be just fine. And yeah, so it's looking good. Winding down the last little bit of the drought here. So of course, thanks very much for being here. I appreciate you guys and all of the enthusiasm for these Timberborn videos. It seems to be, at this point, the dominant game on the channel. Didn't start that way, but you guys have really, really, really warmed up to all this stuff, and I'm just very, very thankful that you're here. So of course, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, just want to say hi or whatever, please do leave comments down below. I read all of them, every single one, even though I can't usually respond to every comment on a video. I do read them. I do appreciate you just the same, as well as our beard boosters who contribute behind the scenes to make it possible for me to keep doing these just about every day. I've been taking Mondays off for a while, but the support they give allows me to dedicate some time during all the other stuff I've got going on in my life to make sure we can still have these videos of all of our video game fun, as well as doing some stuff behind the scenes to do some new, different type of city building adjacent content I think you guys will really like as well once we're able to get that out. But yeah, thanks to those folks. If you want information on that, there's more in the description, but please don't ever feel obligated to be part of any of that stuff. I'm just glad you're here, and I'm glad we get to spend a little bit of time together enjoying these games for the time that you are here. And look at that, here comes water into our little containment pond here, which we'll of course raise at the end of the temperate season, but that's going to be next time. That is pretty much it for today. So yeah, I hope you'll join us again, of course, for the next episode of this. Tomorrow we have the finale of Kingdoms Reborn Shogunate, which should be a whole lot of fun. Just laying waste to the whole map with a bunch of Gundams. Well, mobile suits. Technically, they're not Gundams specifically, because that's a trademark term. But I digress. That should be a whole lot of fun. And then, of course, the next episode of this series on Thursday. But yeah, that's it. We'll go ahead and leave these guys in single speed. Turn the pumps back on so they don't dehydrate themselves, which they kind of already have, but they'll get back to work. They'll be good to go in no time at all, and we'll be able to join these guys back later this week. But yeah, that's it. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Stay safe, have fun, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.